Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The draft is over. The Broncos ended up with 10 picks. I think that they did a really good job with how they turned it out. But if you guys were with us on the live streams, you guys know my opinions on there. You'll have plenty of other content, videos, written work over at milehighhuddle.com to view on that. But kind of got to rush through getting this done. I mean, this is the other good part. Denver has had such good success finding undrafted free agents, and it typically is a mad rush after the draft, trying to record this quickly, get this up and published for you guys. And man, there is a lot of talent that happened to fall out of this draft, which when you see that happen, you got to be cautious about why they fell. Hopefully, you are trusting your boards. And it seems that George Payton, he trusted his boards. He got value. So let's get to this. If Denver wants a quarterback, Jamie Newman, I mean, he's a good option for them. Felipe Franks, I'd kind of pass on. But out of these guys, Jamie Newman, he's the one I'm looking at. Maybe a KJ Costello. Everybody else, they don't really move the needle for me in the quarterback room. Getting to running back, I mean CJ Maribel. If you want another running back to add to this for competition with Mike Boone, competition for Royce Freeman at the bottom of the depth chart, and then the Levante Bellamy, the undrafted free agent from last year, CJ Maribel, Jarrett Patterson, Dedrick Williams, Raheem Boyd, Spencer Brown, Greg McCray. Those are all guys I'm watching for them. Javion Hawkins, I like him, but I don't think he's the best scheme fit. Explosive guy, needs space, outside zone. That's not what Denver runs. Wide receiver, they took a receiver in the draft. Maybe they still want to shuffle around at that bottom of the depth chart. Those guys that they're looking at for the practice squad, guys that maybe they feel can compete on special teams, maybe offer up some return ability. Josh Imatorbhebhe, he's a big physical guy, X receiver type. Sage Surratt, another big physical possession receiver. Cade Johnson, if they want a guy to compete with Deontay Spencer for a return specialist, Cade Johnson's the guy. And guess what? He offers up a little bit more on offense than Deontay Spencer does. Austin Watkins, he's a good option to be another depth receiver, kind of replace what Deshaun Hamilton would be losing if Denver parts ways with him. Isaiah McCoy, another specialist type. Watt Fillier, a guy who can play on special teams, play in the slot, has some versatility there. There's a lot of good options at receiver still, and I would expect the Broncos, I mean, to be looking at a couple of these guys. Getting to tight end, they're looking at a wide tight end. They're looking at a guy who can stand in line, be a blocker, that wide tight end. There's some options here, not many though. Nick Eubanks, he's the best blocker or one of the better blockers available. He's not the best at it, but there's potential there. He's got the size for it. And then Briley Moore, he's a similar guy with that. But Miller Forrestall, Sean Bayer, they're the two blocking tight ends that are left that you should be looking at. Offensive tackle. I think everybody's a little bit shocked that the Broncos didn't draft offensive tackle. I mean, hey, we've heard it for so long. They need a developmental offensive tackle. Maybe they like Calvin Anderson a lot. Maybe they like some of these other developmental guys that they've had over the last couple of years. Mike Munchak's been working with them. Maybe they like them a little bit and didn't like this draft class. Maybe guys didn't fall there. We don't know, but there are some options out there. I like Greg Island for the Broncos at this point. Adrian Ely, he's another guy that I like. And Carson Green. Those are the three offensive tackles I'd be looking at for the Broncos as undrafted free agents. Moving into offensive guard, they drafted Quinn Miners, who can be a versatile piece. There's some good options here for the Broncos if they wanted to go to an offense or go on the interior offensive line. And real quick, I seem to have missed the guy, but quick edit real quick. He ended up getting drafted. But David Moore, big physical guy, he fits the scheme. Robert Jones, big physical guy, he fits the scheme. Tommy Kramer, big physical guy, he fits the scheme. All these guys, they fit what the Broncos want to do, really. If they want to add more competition at the bottom of their interior line depth chart, well, here you go. This is a good spot to go get them. Developmental guys, try to keep them and development them on the practice squad because who knows, maybe you're losing Dalton Reisner in a couple of years. Maybe Lloyd Cushenberry ends up failing. It was a rough rookie season for him. Graham Glasgow, maybe he's gone after this year. Austin Schlottman, he's shown that he's not the guy. So maybe they're looking at moving on. Now, into your defensive line, we saw the last pick be that in Marquise Spencer, but there's some concerns about there. He's supposed to be strong, but he didn't put up much reps on the bench press. He seems to be an athlete, but he carries a lot of bad weight. There's some good options here that fit different roles on the defensive line. Darius Stills, he went on draft. This is a guy that I thought would be a third or second round pick. Bring some interior pass rush, decent run defender. Little shocked he fell undrafted. And guys, I just want to say real quick, if I name somebody who ended up getting drafted, I apologize. I was trying to keep my board updated while we were live and just didn't manage to do that. and may have missed a couple, like Michael Manet of the interior offensive line. Marvin Wilson, he's a big physical interior defensive lineman, can play that 0-1 technique, has some decent upside as a pass rusher. There's been some character and medical stuff with him that's been going around. That's probably why he fell undrafted, but you definitely got to get that figured out. Jeffrey Gunter, Malik Herron, Jordan Scott, Naquan Jones. Those are also guys that I like on the interior defensive line. Now at edge, Denver got a good one in Jonathan Cooper. I like him. I thought he was going to go a little bit higher. But looking at this guy at the what's left, Hamilcar Rashed, I'm not a big fan of him for what Denver does. But Darius Hodge, Jamar Watson, and Andre Mintz, those are three guys I'd be looking at if I was Denver as an undrafted edge rusher to sit there and compete and just again churn the bottom of your depth chart. That's a big thing for NFL teams. That's what you do with your undrafted free agents. You churn the bottom of the depth chart, find the guys that you really like, find the guys you want to work with. Now, Dylan Moses at off-ball linebacker, I think he's shocking everybody that he fell, but it's really not that surprising. It's going around that his knees are completely done. They're not sure if he'll be able to last more than a couple years, if that. Undrafted free agent, maybe you can take a shot here, just see how those knees are. Low risk, potential high reward. Justin Hilliard, another guy with injury concerns, very athletic though. Charles Snowden, not sure really where you really play him. He's got that versatility, maybe not the right guy for Denver. Anthony Hines, Jordan Fox, those are two guys that I'd be looking at for Denver. They have upside in coverage. They would sit there and be good competition for Justin Sternad for that cover linebacker role. And defensive backs, I mean, Denver only took about 100 of them in the NFL draft. They really loaded up in that secondary through free agency, through the draft. I mean, George Payton, Vic Fangio, they value their defensive backs. That's been made very clear. So there's some options there. Trill Williams, he fell undrafted. He was a guy who I thought would be a top 100 pick. Or Darius Washington at safety. He's another guy I thought would be a top 100 pick. Brian Mills, I don't see as a scheme fit. Manny Rugamba, Antonio Phillips, also guys I don't see as a scheme fit. Mark Gilbert, medical issues, but he's the guy that he fits the scheme extremely well. And again, at this point, low risk, potential high reward. I'd take a shot at him. Elijah Griffin as well, Trill Williams as well. Marlon character, he's another one that I would take a shot on. And then going to safety, Paris Ford, I would take a shot here. I mean, there's just such a high ceiling for him. Bad testing, not the best of years, but he fits the scheme. Tariq Thompson, same thing. Ashari Crosswell, I would take another shot. I would take a look at him, and Lamonte Wade as well. Good defensive backs available. Who knows how many they'll bring in of undrafted free agents, but Denver, they have a history with them. They've brought them in, they've made them successful over the years, and we've seen them time and time again find these hidden gems. Shaq Barrett, as in Chris Harris, like the list goes on and on. We'll see what the Broncos are going to do. Well, hopefully this streak continues of them being able to find guys. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I mean, it's been like feels like 20 years almost straight. I know there was one year where they didn't have a guy make the roster, but they have good luck finding undrafted free agents. Curious to see what they end up doing. So we'll be finding out here shortly. I mean, it goes quickly. Hopefully this video gets up before we actually find out. And whenever we do find out, you guys, I'll see you then. This was a special episode of the Trickle Zone. Thank you guys for joining me. Have a wonderful night. And hey, go Broncos, of course.